please feel free to just turn your camera off. But really what most people will be seeing, or what people will be seeing, is the shared screen, and then the food demo. So this is the first intro class that I have done online. I've done many of these over the years in person. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. So let Nicole in. The goal of this class is to provide an overview of what a healthy, whole foods, plant-based lifestyle is all about and how it can benefit your health. As I said, I'm going to do this short slideshow presentation, a few food demos, and then we'll do a bit of a Q&A. So if there's anything that comes up, don't hesitate to jot them down, write it down. An increasing number of people are becoming interested in plant-based eating. And it's no surprise, it's great for our health. It's a wonderful thing to do for the planet. It's the one thing we can do that has the biggest impact on planetary health. And of course, it also benefits animals. So there's lots of great reasons to do this. It's not difficult to be a healthy vegan or a plant-based eater, but it is a shift for most people. And it does really help to learn some of the basics. I wanted to offer this class for 3 reasons. One, as a starting place for people who are joining my plant-based eating support network group, because just to talk about some of the basics that people might be missing out if they're because people can join any month. So just as a basics class. 2, I wanted to give people who are interested in the support network group but aren't quite sure what it would be like, a chance to participate in a class and see what it would be like. And 3, I just wanted to open it up for people who are curious about plant-based eating and want to learn a little bit more about what it is and what it involves. So whatever your reason for being here tonight, I'm really glad you joined me. So thanks for being here. This is me. You can see this picture was taken in my kitchen. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you are from the group, some of you I know just from town, but there are some of you I don't know. So my name is Emma Levez-Larocque. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, a certified plant-based chef, and a Food for Life instructor with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. I live in the beautiful coastal town of Powell River, British Columbia. And I normally teach classes. For about 6 years, I've been running my business, Plant-Based R.H.N, and I normally teach classes in person and workshops and do personal consulting. But when COVID hit, I wasn't able to do that anymore. And so I started the Plant-Based Eating Support Network group, which is all online. And honestly, it actually was something I had been thinking about for a long time, because I wanted to be able to provide people ongoing support, recipes, ideas, inspiration over time, because this isn't, for most people, a shift that they make overnight. It's something that takes many months, sometimes many years. And I think there's a lot to learn if you're really interested in the nutrition piece. There's a lot to learn about cooking techniques and things. So it's great to sort of be able to bite those off in bite-sized chunks. It's also been a great way to help not only other people to be inspired, but the people in my support network group constantly inspire me. They share wonderful dishes. We have a very active Facebook group. I'll talk a little bit more about the support network group later. If you're interested, you can stay for that. It's at the end. I'm mostly just very passionate about helping people to understand how what we eat affects our health, and helping people to implement healthier eating habits and practices in their lives. So what is whole foods plant-based eating? I would really love at this point to, I can't see the chat box, can I? No, I can't. But I would love it if you would just share with me 30 seconds. When you hear the word words whole foods plant-based eating, what does that mean to you? Just type a couple of words into the chat box. I'll give you 10, 15 seconds. And then maybe Tara, you can let me know what some of the words that are coming up are. There are no wrong answers.
I don't know, Emma, if you can see, we've got words like health, fresh food that doesn't come in a package, vegan, veggies, more veggies, a
Awesome.
lot of work.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Those are all wonderful, wonderful words. The a lot of work thing, you know, arguable. It can be easy, but I
I'm going to give you a few more, Emma, because there's some
okay.
good ones here.
Sure. Yeah.
No processing, closest food to what nature produces,
Yeah.
real food, healthy from the garden, healthy, organic, fresh, nourish, happy, non-processed vegetables, local, nutrition dense, organic.
Wonderful. I love all of those. Some uh, obviously people have different definitions of what whole foods plant-based includes. For example, some people choose to eat organic. Some people, you know, it doesn't have to be organic to be whole foods plant-based. Essentially, you know, so people fall in different sort of areas of that. And we're going to talk about the difference between vegan and whole foods plant-based as well shortly. But essentially, a whole foods plant-based way of eating, I think, is one of the, or I don't just think, but it has really been supported by science, is one of the very healthiest ways that you can eat. So what does it mean? You guys nailed it. A lot of those words, a lot of those you know, close to nature, things that are unprocessed. But it really is a way of eating that focuses on whole and raw cooked vegetables, fruits, cooked and raw, sorry, whole fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds, and legumes, which includes all the bean family and lentils and so on. It eliminates animal foods, and it eliminates or limits oils, refined sugars, other refined foods, highly processed foods, and fast foods. But having said all of that, this is not an all or nothing situation. This is not, are you, you know, if you're not doing all of those things, that you can't be somewhere along the spectrum. As I said, in the work that I do, I really think it's important to meet people where they're at. And if you're, wherever you're starting from is a great place to be. And the more you do, the more you gravitate towards this way of eating, the better off you're going to be for your health. I always really like to reference the new Canada Food Guide that came out in January 2019, because it very much reflects what the idea of whole foods plant-based eating. As you can see here, half the plate is fruits and vegetables, a quarter of the plate is whole grains and whole grain products, and a quarter of the plate is what we call protein foods, which of course, actually most foods have protein in them, but foods that are higher in protein. And they emphasize, they recommend emphasizing plant proteins like beans and tofu and things like that. So it is very much in line with our new Canada Food Guide. You'll note that if you haven't seen this before, that dairy has been taken off completely as a food group, which is amazing, and a recommendation to make water the drink of choice. So all of that is really wonderful. One of the things that I really like to emphasize when we're starting out with plant-based eating is that it's important to include all of these food groups. One of the places that I see people falling down when they're first starting with this way of eating is that they might, you know, really start to increase their fruit and vegetable intake, for example, and that's great, but they don't, you know, if they're taking meat off their plate and they're not including any beans, maybe they don't know how to cook them, or they're not really big fans, or, you know, it's just not a thing that you know a lot about because you're not used to eating them. That can be a real problem. Same with whole grains. Sometimes I see people coming in who have been on a grain-free diet and they're kind of afraid of whole grains. And if you exclude any part of this plate, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's the whole picture that really gives you all of the optimum nutrition that makes this diet such a healthy one. So one of the key parts of moving to a healthier way of eating is including all of these food groups, learning to, be okay with, or learning to cook beans and legumes and lentils in a way that you enjoy, and eating them on a daily basis. They're a great source of not only protein, but also fiber and many, many, many nutrients. And the other key thing is, as you'll see here, there's not a lot of there's no processed foods in this picture. It really is about getting rid of the highly refined foods, the highly processed foods, the candy, the junk food, and moving towards more whole plant foods, as was mentioned in the comments. Oops. So actually, before I move on to this, I wanted to talk a little bit at this point about the difference between vegan and whole foods, plant-based. A choice to live a vegan lifestyle is very much an ethical choice. And so it is a diet that doesn't include any animal products, whereas a whole foods plant-based diet does not include any animal products, but it is more aligned with actual healthy whole foods that are unrefined and unprocessed. As I'm sure you're all well aware, in the last 5-10 years, the vegan food industry, for environmental and all the different reasons that I mentioned before, has absolutely exploded. But what has happened, what that means, is that there have become all these amazing vegan cheeses available, and vegan ice creams, and vegan meat substitute products. And while those things may be marginally healthier than their animal product counterparts, they're not that much healthier. They still include a lot of oils and salts and sugars. So what I really like to encourage people to use them as, sometimes foods or in transition foods, and use them very sparingly, because really, in terms, if the health improvements are your goal, then you're going to be getting way more with the whole plant foods. Now, moving on.
Sorry, on that note, related to that, Peter's asking a question.
Sure.
Is bread considered a processed food?
I think bread is, if you're talking about Wonder Bread, I would stay away from that. In terms of that is really about what kind of bread you're choosing. So it is processed, obviously, but what we're really gearing towards is lightly processed things, or things that, so if you have a bread that's whole grain and full of nuts and seeds and all kinds of good things, or a sprouted bread, for example, those can be very, very healthy choices. So it's not necessarily a bread-free diet. Again, that's kind of a personal choice, a little bit of a nuance. I certainly include bread in my own diet, but I make sure that it's a whole grain bread that has really good ingredients, and it's not got a lot of added sugars or salts or other products. So bread is one of those things that can sort of really be along the spectrum of healthy choices. I hope that answers your question. So on to this next slide. This is another key takeaway that I would like to share with you guys tonight. The importance of variety in your diet, and the importance of variety in color. So this is a handout from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. If you're not aware of this organization, it's an incredible organization. And in fact, we are having the founder of this organization, which has 175,000 members internationally. It's a massive organization. And the founder is coming to our speaker series next Tuesday. So if you're interested, please sign up for that too. But Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine does incredible work on disease prevention and reversal research, and many, many more things. But this is one of the handouts that I really love to use in my classes, because it sort of is a very simplified version, but it gives you the concept that when we eat the rainbow, all the different colors are representative of different phytonutrients, which are nutrients that are found in plants that benefit our health for various reasons. And they're all represented by different colors in the foods that we eat. So if you think about it, a really beautiful, colorful salad or colorful curry or meals that have lots of color and look vibrant and fresh are very attractive to us. And that is certainly by design, because when we eat these different colors, we're going to be benefiting from the nutrients that they contain and that these colors represent. So one of the really simple takeaways, one of the really great things that you can take away if you're just, if you're on a sort of standard North American diet right now and you're thinking, how do I get started? One of the things that you can do is to eat the rainbow every day. Try and make sure you're getting nutrients from all these different colors. And this is a great thing for kids. If any of you out there have kids or grandkids, it's a wonderful thing to put on the fridge. I'm going to send you this handout after the class. I'll send you the recipes that I'm making in the demo, and I'm going to send you this handout as well. And it's something you could print out if you like and put it on your fridge as a reminder. And kids love to compete with this. So who ate the rainbow today? So just a fun way to make nutrition accessible. And I really like to point this out because so the two points that I've made so far, making sure you're getting some, a good balance of foods from all the food groups and all the colors. This variety and diversity is going to give you, all the different phytochemicals, the different vitamins and minerals, and also the fibers that you need to be really healthy. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits. What are the benefits? They are amazing. I have personally been eating a plant-based diet, a vegetarian and then vegan diet for the past more than 20 years now. And I initially became vegan for ethical reasons. It's one of the reasons is very close to my heart. As the years went on, I started to learn more about the environmental benefits, and that became very important to me as well. And then about 15 years ago, I started to get really interested in nutrition as I got closer to middle age and started thinking more about my own mortality and really starting to realize that I had sort of stumbled into a happy accident in eating this way, because this is such a healthy way to eat if you're doing it properly. A whole foods plant-based way of eating, I don't like to use the word diet, it really is a lifestyle, can aid in preventing and even reversing some of North America's most common chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease in some cases, some types of cancer, especially the most common kinds, colon cancer, prostate, breast cancer. There's a lot of research on this. There's a lot of information out there. If you're interested, again, just get in touch with me and I can provide you with resources. But we really are made up of what we eat. So if we are giving our body lots of nutrient dense, there's that word, nutrient dense, fabulous, nutritious food and material to create our bodies with, then that's what it's going to benefit from that. If we're filling our plates with junk food and fried foods and things that are really quite toxic, then we're going to foster disease and problems for our health. This way of eating is typically low in saturated fat and cholesterol, which is only found in animal products. And cholesterol is, of course, a vital component of our cells, and our body makes all that we need. So we don't need to take in any through our diet. Too much cholesterol in your blood is not only considered the primary cause or risk factor of heart disease, but also a risk factor for Alzheimer's. This is more recent research that has started to come to light, and there's a few really critical neuroscientists working on this right now, doing some really incredible research. So we'll be hearing more about that, but it's a pretty exciting development. Whole foods plant-based way of eating is high in fiber and beneficial nutrients and phytochemicals, which I've mentioned. They're immune boosting, cancer fighting substances. I'm so passionate about sharing this information because I think it's so empowering to be able to have a lot of control over our own health. Of course, it doesn't make us superhuman. It doesn't make us invincible. It doesn't mean we'll never get sick or we'll never get disease, but it really gives us the best chance we've got to stay healthy, especially as we get older and age into our later years. And who doesn't want to stay vibrant and mentally alert and all of that stuff? A whole foods plant-based diet eliminates casein, which is the dairy protein found in milk, cheese, yogurt, any dairy products. This is a common trigger for arthritis and joint pain, inflammation in the body, and it's a significant promoter of cancer as well. And it's one of the things that, in fact, from a health perspective, it's one of the things that people often take out last. So they'll stop eating maybe red meat and then chicken and then fish, and then dairy is last. But from a health perspective, it's actually the first thing that should go. In fact, actually, from an environmental and animal rights perspective as well, I'm not here to talk about that today, but it really, dairy is not good for our body, or whatever that commercial was. It's great for natural weight control, a whole foods plant-based diet. You don't have to necessarily worry about calorie counting, as long as you're making sure you're focusing on nutrient dense, low calorie foods on a regular basis. It's one of the things I really like about it. It gets away from diet culture. You're not going to be on this roller coaster of up and down, worrying about high calorie. Of course, there are high calorie plant-based foods like avocados and nuts and seeds. Those are very, very healthy foods and great ones to include. But if you are looking for weight loss, they're ones to keep an eye on. It helps to control blood pressure and blood sugar levels. It's rich in antioxidants, which protect the body from free radicals and other toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis. And one of my favorite topics in terms of plant-based health is it really improves your gut health. And that has a lot to do with the fiber that is found in plant-based foods. Another takeaway, the really, really important thing to remember is that this is a combination of what you are eating and what you're not eating. So by cutting down on the foods that are less healthy and less health promoting, and on the other hand, including a lot of really amazing nutritious foods, you can really make a big impact on your health. Okay. We're almost finished with the presentation. We're going to get on to the demos here shortly. But again, I just really like to emphasize this is a journey. It's a lifestyle. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And it's not about having to completely change the way that you eat overnight unless you want to. Some people are in a dire health situation and they do that and they see the benefits. But personally, the people that I've worked with over the years, that's not usually how it goes. Unless, like I said, unless someone is really, really motivated to do it. The key is to really lean into this healthier way of eating at your own pace, understand how to make the changes, understand how to do it properly, and stay motivated along the way. So depending on where you're at, there can be a lot to learn about the new way of cooking. It can be, you can learn a lot about nuances of nutrition. If there are specific things that you're interested in, like gut health or bone health, that's our topic next month. It can be really, really, there can be a lot to learn. And that's, like I said earlier, why I started the support network group, to help support people through that and help them learn all of those things. So some easy ways to get started. If you take away 3 things from the presentation tonight and nothing else, some ideas on how to get started. Eat the rainbow. Make sure you're getting lots of diversity in plants, lots of diversity in colors. That's going to be a big benefit for your health. Have a salad every day. This is a great way to get started. Even if you're eating a traditional North American diet, if you just start by making sure that you include a big salad every day for one of your meals, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We love talking about thinking outside the box for meals in the support network group. This is a great thing to do. And you can see from the pictures I've shared below, my salads are never boring. This is about making food amazing, about inspiring yourself to one of the things that I love about teaching is that I see people come to the groups or the classes sometimes who say, I'm kind of in a rut. I'm bored of what I'm cooking all the time. That's why they're there. They're not even necessarily particularly interested in plant-based eating. But what happens is, as we start to talk about different foods and encourage variety and look at, for example, different whole grains you can include, look at different kinds of beans, look at doing different things with legumes, like sprouting them or marinating them or whatever, it really gets people inspired again. And it's kind of fun to see how this becomes something that doesn't all of a sudden doesn't seem like a sacrifice. It doesn't seem like I can't eat this and I can't eat that, because that's not what it's about. This is a diet of abundance. This is a way of eating that can be and should be really delicious.
Yeah. Related to your salad post, Wendy's asking, what do you think about salad kits?
Salad kits? I guess it depends on what's in the salad kit. One of the things I think is great is to find ways to make things convenient for yourself. So somebody mentioned that that what plant-based eating makes them think of is a lot of work, and it can be. It certainly can be if you're doing everything from scratch. If you're sort of learning, even when you're just starting to learn. I'm not going to pretend that it's easy, but having said that, a great example, a salad kit is a great example. If it's got a healthy dressing, or if you make your own dressing, if it's something that's put together, if that makes you have a salad and you wouldn't have had a salad otherwise, then go for it. Absolutely. I don't know what particular salad kit you're looking at, so I guess probably some are healthier than others, but convenience foods are wonderful. So you can use canned beans if that makes you more likely for you to eat beans. You can use there are lots of things, and these are sort of tips and tricks that we talk about in the group a lot. Meals that you can make in 15-20 minutes, batch cooking, meal preparation. It does have something to do with planning. It does have something, but I guarantee you, if you cook it all at home now, you've got the skills you need to do this. It's just about a bit of a shift in mindset. So it doesn't have to be hard. It's just about sort of looking at it new. And then the last one is adding a daily smoothie. So I really recommend, despite the picture here, using fruit to sweeten to taste, but not adding extra sweeteners to your smoothie, and thinking about different ingredients that you can add that will make them even more healthy. Smoothies are a wonderful way to get extra servings of fruit, vegetables, beans, nuts, and seeds into your diet. And so if it's something that you can have it as a snack, you could have it as a breakfast or part of your breakfast. But what I would discourage is trying to stay away from, all fruit smoothies, which can add up, can actually spike your blood pressure or your blood sugar. So we really talk about sort of making your smoothies a little healthier. And in fact, that's one of the demos that I'm going to switch to next. So I'm going to stop the share here, and I'm going to go to my.
Yes. There is another question. Do you still want to move into questions?
I can see it. Another question. Forks Over Knives is not keen on added oils, and most people consume salad dressings. What toppings might a salad have to avoid such oils? We are going to talk about that, Peter. That is one of the demos. So stay tuned. I also, the support network group, we don't use any oil in it either. And I will talk more about why, because that is a big one for a lot of people. Okay, so coming over into my kitchen here. Welcome to my kitchen. I'll take my glasses off so I can see you guys. The first demo that we're going to do is I call it my purple secret smoothie. And this is a smoothie that has some things in it that a lot of people would think, okay, I wouldn't put that in my smoothie. So what I would say is, please reserve judgment. Give this a chance. I'm going to share this recipe with you. Try it at home and see what you think. So I'm going to tell you why I'm using these different ingredients. So the first thing that we're going to use is plant-based milk. You can use whatever kind of plant-based milk you like. Oat milk, soy milk, almond milk. If you're using almond milk, organic is great, because the poor bees in the non-organic milks really suffer. But anyway, so that's a good thing to do. So we're going to use about a cup. I'm going to make a smoothie enough for one person here. I'm going to use a cup of that plant-based milk. I'm going to put in a cabbage leaf. So we're getting a cruciferous vegetable in here, which is full of cancer-fighting properties. It's bright purple, which is not only going to give our smoothie a really beautiful color, but it is going to be a great thing for our vegetable intake for the day. I'm going to include a couple of tablespoons of chickpeas. I had these in my fridge. I would use probably, if you want to start with this, white beans or chickpeas. So if you are someone who adds protein powders to your smoothies, this is a great thing to do instead. Chickpeas are full of fiber. They don't have any additives. Some protein powders are better than others. We don't need a lot of protein. If you're eating enough calories, you're almost certainly getting enough protein, unless you have some other health condition that's involved. But it's really easy to get enough protein, but these also have fiber. They've got lots of iron and other nutrients in them. So I'm just going to put a couple of tablespoons. And then out of my freezer, I'm going to pull, I've got a banana, a frozen banana, and about maybe 3/4 of a cup of blueberries. So once again, the smoothie, what's in it? 1 cup of non-dairy milk, 1 frozen banana, 1 large leaf of purple cabbage, 2 tablespoons of chickpeas or other white beans, and about a 1/2 cup of blueberries. If you don't mind, I'm going to blend this up because I want you to see what this looks like. So you can see this is a beautiful purple color. Whoa, that was close. It is going to be appealing to even the most reluctant green smoothie eaters. So rather than if you use a green, a kale or something like that, the smoothie would be a bit brown. So I love purple cabbage to make, because we eat with our eyes first, right? And we want to make sure that this looks appealing. So that is the purple secret smoothie. And so, like I said, we've got all whole foods in there. We're not using fruit juice. That's something to stay away from when you're making smoothies. But the base, if you don't want to use a plant-based milk, you could, of course, use water. You could use coconut water. You could use, I love using cooled green tea, which is rich in antioxidants, or hibiscus tea, even better. So that makes a nice base for smoothies. And, again, you work with the colors, you work with the flavors, and that becomes a really, really healthy addition to your day. The next thing is that I want to do is a creamy kale salad, and this is where the oil comes in. So I'm really glad that Peter asked that question. As I said, in the Plant-Based Eating Support Network group, we don't use any oil in the recipes at all. It's completely oil-free, and it's in fact refined sugar-free, and also we really keep an eye on salt, and I always give salt alternative ideas as well, because even if you're not currently watching your salt intake, high salt intake is one of the leading causes of stomach cancer, but of course raises our blood pressure, and it's not something we want to have too much of in our diet, for sure. So oil, the reason we avoid oil is because it is basically a processed food. It is highly refined. Even extra virgin olive oil would certainly be a better choice than, say, butter. So again, it depends on where you're at on the spectrum. If you're not quite ready to give up all oils, but you feel like you want to try having oil instead of butter, then that's a good swap. It's all about substitutions and where you're at. But oil basically has 120 calories per tablespoon. So if you're at all concerned about weight maintenance or loss, that is one of the easiest places to get it out. The other thing is that, like I said, it's like a refined food. So we know that we probably want to avoid white flours and white sugars and things like that. We think of that when we think of refined foods, but a lot of people don't think of oils. But essentially, the olive oil is all the olive fiber and nutrients have been taken away, and we're left with this very, very high calorie dense food. And so, as Peter mentioned, you're making this amazing salad, and having a salad once a day, I think you're doing something really great for your health. But if you're putting a few tablespoons of oil, traditional salad dressings are made with most, like at least half oil usually. So that can be really make your healthy salad into a high fat meal very quickly. So I don't, we're not necessarily talking about a super low fat diet here, but what I encourage people to do is look at including whole fats instead. So this salad is a great example. We're going to make, we're actually going to do some massaging. So I've got two kinds of kale here. I've just got some curly green kale, and I've got some red R.H.N. kale. So this was the curly green kale was a very small bunch, I guess it's the time of year. So one of the things I really like to show people, if you don't already know this, I see lots of people doing this, and that's fine. You can stem kale that way, but really, if you just hold it and pull from the base of the stem, you can do this very quickly, and it's, you know, a little bit of a time saver. So if you're busy, don't have to get fussy, and you could save the stems to put into your smoothie the next day. So stems are, you know, again, whole food plant-based eating is about eating all the parts of the plant that are edible, and stems certainly are edible. In fact, at the grocery store, they're not allowed to sell anything that isn't edible. So for example, things like carrot tops, a lot of people think that, well, carrot tops aren't edible, and they throw them in the garbage or the compost, and they actually are edible. And you can throw them into your salads. And the reason for doing that is that all of these foods have different nutrients, different fiber to offer. So it's great if you can include, you know, when you get beets, if you eat the root, the beet itself, as well as the stems and the leaves, they all have different nutrients, different benefits to offer. Okay, so I've got my kale that I just roughly chopped up into bite-sized pieces. I love this salad because unlike a lot of salads, it actually is very hearty. It keeps in the fridge for a couple of days, or 2 or 3 days. Great thing to take for lunch. We're going to use avocado. We're going to use half an avocado as the whole fat in here. So we've got a lot of fat-soluble vitamins in here. Greens are high in vitamin K, for example, and we want to make sure that we're consuming a little bit of fat with our salad to make sure that we're absorbing those nutrients. This is not about being, if you don't like to get your hands dirty, you probably won't like this salad because it's all about getting your hands dirty. So just squeeze the avocado right into the dish there. And then the next thing we're going to do, I forgot to get my grater out. Just going to grab it. Where did it go? I have misplaced my grater. So I'll leave that out for now, but usually I grate a couple of carrots and put that in, which I'll do after the class. We're going to use a little bit of shallot, which it's great to have allium vegetables that are from the onion family raw, because they have some properties in them, or an enzyme, in them that helps to make a conversion that really allows us to get the biggest nutritional benefits from the shallots or the onions. It's the same with cruciferous vegetables as well. It's a good thing to include some raw, but you do want to mince them up fairly finely because nobody really wants to get a big chunk of onion, a mouthful of onion. So you could do this to taste. If you don't love raw onion, then you can make sure, or just put in a little bit. I put my grated carrots in there, and then I'm going to put some lemon juice. I am going to too much. Just gonna squeeze a little bit of lemon juice in there. The citric acid in the lemon, again, helps us to absorb the iron, for example. Green vegetables are also a good source of iron. I just got a seed in there. Oh no, it's just so. Anyway, and so again, this is all about food synergy and putting things together to make them work for us and help us to get the optimal nutrition out of things. The last thing you want to do is a little pinch of sea salt, or I have got my table tasty, which is a salt alternative. And it's one of the best salt alternatives I have come across. So I love to show that in the classes, and I can provide more information about that if people are interested. And then you want to massage your salad. So this is great after a stressful day, and although you want to put love into your food, not aggravation, but just make sure you get in there with your energy. And you saw how much salad I had to begin with. What you're doing at this point is you're breaking down the cell walls and helping to make the kale more palatable for yourself and also more digestible. So besides that you're doing all the work.
Emma, there's a question for you.
Okay.
What's the name of the salt alternative?
It's called Table Tasty. I will send that information out with the information that I share with you at the end of the class as well, the link. Unfortunately, you can only buy it online, and it is, the shipping in particular actually is a little bit pricey. So I find that most people, you know, you have to be a bit serious about reducing your salt intake to make the investment usually. But if you are in Pell River and you know me, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and I can always, I do not get paid to promote this, just by the way, but it really is it's something nice to try. I've got some pumpkin seeds for the top, or you can use some sesame seeds. And there is our kale salad. I'm going to share a salad dressing with you. There are many, all you have to do really is Google oil-free salad dressings. There are many oil-free salad dressing recipes online that you know, maybe have a nut base or a seed base or an avocado base or a bean base. There are, one of my favorite sort of formulas is a 3-2-1 recipe, which is 3 parts, let me see if I get this right, 3 parts mustard, 2 parts vinegar, and 1 part maple syrup, or you know, some kind of liquid sweetener. So that's a nice one to, you know, you don't have a salad dressing handy and you just want to pull one out. And then the other, so I'll share some of those resources. And then the other place that a lot of people use oil that it's really not necessary is in sauteing. So that's one of the things that we do a lot of demonstration of in the class, in terms of you can either, you know, especially if you're starting with things like onions and mushrooms. So say you're making a tomato sauce, you're making a spaghetti sauce. And, you know, we just sort of have it ingrained in our head that you have to start with oil, right? But what you're doing is basically just adding these calories to your food. And honestly, if you try it, there are some things that oil makes a difference for, but things like that, it really makes very little difference. You won't taste it unless you're used to using a ton of oil. But if you're just using a little bit of, you know, a couple tablespoons of oil, it really is not going to make a difference to the texture. You can either start with water or broth or wine or you know, like a any kind of liquid really, instead of the oil. Or you can, my personal favorite way to do it is just to do a dry saute. So I would just, what the sort of some of the keys there are to make sure that you heat your pan up first. You don't want to put your vegetables into a cold pan because they will stick. So you heat your pan up first to over a medium high heat. Make sure you have a decent pan, so a ceramic pan or a stainless steel pan. And then you put your onions in, and you'll be surprised. constantly hear from people who take the classes or in the support network group, wow, I can't believe I've been cooking with all this oil. I thought I needed it. And it really is one of the very, very easy ways to get oil out of your diet. Okay, so I'm gonna put my back on gallery view here. And those are the main things that I wanted to share with you tonight. So if there are other questions, I would love to hear from you. If you have Wendy, in terms of your question, I can, why don't we connect and we can talk about that a little bit further. If there are other questions that are generally about how we're, to cook or what a whole foods plant-based diet is around, or any of the benefits, anything that I've talked about tonight, please feel free to either put them in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask.
Lynn had a question earlier about can you use carrot juice in a smoothie?
In a smoothie, you can certainly, and you're going to, it's not that you won't get benefit from a pure juice, whether it's orange juice or carrot juice, but what juices do, and especially things that are higher in sugar, they're going to, you've taken all the fiber out. So carrots are one of the vegetables that are higher in sugar. And when we eat a carrot and we have all the fiber, our bodies are fine. It knows what to do with that. It knows how to process that. But when we take the fiber away, it's just like apple juice or orange juice. If you're drinking a pure juice, especially, it's not that doesn't have any nutrition. It has lots of nutrition, but it's got a lot of sugar in it. So it's going to spike your blood sugar. So it would be better to put a carrot in your smoothie, get that fiber in there as well. So having said that, you're going to be getting a lot of fiber in your smoothie as well. So if you use a little bit of carrot juice, that would probably be okay, but I would say try to use the whole food instead. Appliances to help prepare foods. Okay, so yes, I think that I want to say I really hesitate to, kind of say, oh, you have to have a Vitamix or a Blend Tech or a $400 food processor. These things make plant-based eating easier. There's no doubt about it. And I would say if I had to talk about my top 3 appliances, my first one would be my Vitamix, which you just saw me use to make my smoothie, or any kind of, not necessarily Vitamix, but a high-speed blender. A lot of people find that a Ninja or, a sort of powerful blender that's a little less expensive is fine for their needs. But if you're making a lot of nut sauces or dressings, and you try a Vitamix or a high-speed blender and compare it, it does make a difference. So if you have the budget, that would be something to consider. Having said all of that, can you be whole foods plant-based with a regular blender? Yes, you absolutely can. You'll just have to maybe chop things up a little bit more, soak your nuts or seeds rather than putting them in straight, and take some other measures like that to make things really smooth. Let the blender really run for a while. And then in terms of an instant pot is another really great appliance to have, especially if you're interested in starting to cook your beans from scratch. You're on your own, because there are several advantages of doing that. And like I said at the beginning, if where you're at is you're just trying to include a few more beans and you don't feel like your interest, you have the capacity, or you're not going to start cooking your beans from scratch, it's totally fine. But at the point that maybe some of you get there or are there, it's a huge money saver, because buying canned, especially organic canned, can be very, can get costly. It is a great way to control the sodium, because a lot of canned beans, you can buy salt-free beans, but you know, a lot of canned beans have sodium in them. You can cook your beans with other things like ginger or different herbs and spices like cumin, for example, or a seaweed called kombu that helps to make it make the beans more digestible. So, and give some flavor, of course. So there are lots of benefits to scratch cooking and using an Instant Pot for something like that. It makes it a lot easier. And of course, you can use it for soups and lots of different things. I'm sure lots of people make amazing things in Instant Pots that I haven't even seen. They're quite the appliance. Yeah, so I think those really would be my top two. A food processor is also very handy, a really good food processor, because if you're making bean burgers or, you know, things like that, that can also be very, very useful. But like I said, I really hesitate to, yeah, I'm not here to say, oh, you have to go out and spend $2,000 to go on a whole foods plant-based diet. It's not that at all. And we really, whenever in the recipes that I share, I always, like I shared an Instant Pot recipe today, for example, but I always give a stovetop version as well. So if you don't have those tools, it's certainly not going to cut you out of the mix. So Sandy has asked, how do you join the support network group? Thank you for asking that. I'm actually, I'll just share my screen again for 1 second. I have one more slide to share with you about the support network group in case some of you are interested. And if you're not, feel free to hop off the call at this point because it's the presentation is pretty much over, but I'll say thank you for coming if you do. So this is a monthly subscription program, and just because I really try to keep the costs low, I ask for a 6 or 12-month commitment. All of the events are live and recorded. So if you don't make it 1-to-1, then you can go back and watch the recording. We have monthly themes. So our theme for next month, for example, is how to optimize your bone health. So eating for a strong frame. Every week I provide original recipes that are oil-free and whole foods plant-based. We have cook-alongs twice a month, which you know, is basically similar to what we did here, but there's usually lots of time for, you know, questions along the way. We also have a nutrition talk every month on the theme. There's tips and tools that I share on a weekly basis, websites, other recipes, different nutrition sites, or information from other plant-based experts. And we also, I've started a speaker series, which is actually open to the public as well, to bring different plant-based experts. So tomorrow night, actually, we're having Elena Martin. Some of you might be signed up for that. Normally they're around nutrition topics, but because it's Earth Month, we're having a talk about climate and food. And then next week, we're having 2 this month because we're doing the extra Earth Month one. But next week, as I mentioned, we're having Dr. Neil Barnard join us. So he'll be talking about hormone health and then answering any other health questions that people may have. We've got a weekly challenge. We have a private Facebook page, which you don't have to be on Facebook, but if you are, it's a nice way to interact with the other members. People share recipes and pictures of what they're doing, and then we do fun prizes and polls and things like that. And really, it's just about support. It's about creating an ongoing support network. And the cost of the group is $25 a month currently, but in May, the price is going to be going up to $35 a month. So if you are interested in joining, this would be a good month to do it. So that is all, I think. Are there any other?
Allison has to jump off the call, but she's asking if the people will have access to the recording if they'd like to watch it again.
Yes, I will include will include a link for the recording in your the follow-up email as well. Yes, for sure. Thanks for joining us, Allison.
And then there was a question that got missed earlier from Dot, just asking if you're cooking with cast iron pans or aluminum pans.
Not aluminum, for sure. Stainless steel is a really good option. Cast iron is a good option. As long as you are on a plant-based diet. Iron can be tricky for, in particular, women of menstruating age on a plant-based diet. And that's not to say that you can't get enough. It's easy to get enough. You just need to make sure you're eating the right foods and combining them properly. So in fact, oh, sorry, how do we join? Thank you. I'll come back to that, Sandy. What was I going to say? So if you're, for example, cooking tomato-rich foods, or tomato-based foods, or things that have citrus in them, and you cook them in an cast iron pan, the food will absorb iron. So it's actually a real advantage if you are, at all low in iron or wanting more iron in your diet. But generally, we want to make sure we don't have too much iron. So, and that's one of the problems with a meat-based diet. If you're eating a lot of meat, the heme iron in meat is very easy to absorb, and a lot of people or in particular, it tends to be men who don't lose iron every month. It can be a situation where you don't want extra iron. So yeah, depending on where you're at, a cast iron can be a wonderful thing. And then in terms of how do you join? I'll include that in your follow-up email. Basically, you can just email me and let me know that you'd like to join, and I will send you the information and all your sign up info. So that's how you join. It's not something too fancy. So yeah, so thank you so much, and thank you to Tara for doing all the tech for me tonight. Thank you all for coming, and if you like I said, I hope that this has inspired you. If you aren't in the place right now that you want to join the group, or you just are looking for a little bit more information, make sure you follow me on Facebook, Plant-Based R.H.N. I often share recipes and information there as well. And yeah, good.
Can I just get a quick comment in, Emma?
For sure, Judy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I've been a participant in Emma's support network group for 6 months. And I want to say that Emma is a very inspirational speaker and instructor with a wealth of knowledge and information for anyone wishing to learn more about a whole food plant-based way of eating. I've learned so much in the support network group, and it's been really fun. So I want to recommend it to anyone who's thinking about it, because I'm sure it's something you'll really enjoy.
Thank you so much, Judy. I really appreciate that. I'll pay you later.
And she's not paying me.
I appreciate that. That's really nice. Yeah, so anyway, please feel free to connect with me. JJ asked what the Facebook page is. So just facebook.com/plantbasedrhn. If you go to my website, you can, again, I'll put all this information so you guys can find me if you want to. So thank you again. So nice to see lots of friendly faces and some new faces too. I really appreciate you guys coming. And yeah, hopefully we'll run into you in person sometime.
Thanks, Emma.
Bye for now.
Bye.